Hello YouTubers and welcome to Novus Talks with me, your host Novus Govis. And boy, do we have some pretty exciting news to discuss in relation to Metroid Prime 4. Funny enough, like the last Metroid video I did, other than my Metroid teasers, I mentioned that I was like, okay, maybe Retro have stopped hiring people because it's been over a month since we've last heard from him and we're used to hearing every 2 to 3 weeks. But nope, suddenly 2 or 3 days ago, a new job listing popped up. Super Metal Dave posted it and did a video on this as always. And I saw it, didn't have time to record it straight away, so that's why this video is a bit late. But with all that out of the way, we're going to get straight into it because this is some really exciting stuff that's going to show us what the game's going to be like. This job listing here is for the contract writer. Now, there's a lot of stuff here. I'm not going to go through every single bar. I'm just going to go through the main points that stand out or that are worth going over. Work with the narrative team, cinematics and scripts. This is interesting because the fact that it mentions cinematics and script, it's implying, and as you can read from the actual job listing there, it implies that cinematics are going to be a big part of this game. This is looking like it's going to be the most story-driven Metroid Prime game to date. It's not going to be as story-driven as Metroid Other M, so don't worry about that. But in terms of Metroid Prime games, it's really stepping up now in terms of story. Help write in-game backstory, character breakdowns. This one stood out to me because character breakdowns implies more than one character. Like we know, normally Metroid, look at the previous Metroid Prime games, there've been really that many characters. We've had the space pirates, Samus, and that's about it in the first game. Then you had Umos and the other 3 Luminots in Prime 2, but there wasn't really much character depth to them there. We had the bounty hunters and some of the Federation troopers in Metroid Prime 3, and that was about as in-depth as it went. You know, it wasn't really in-depth. We didn't learn about their backstory, why they're bounty hunters, things like this. And from what we know of Metroid Prime 4, Psylocke will be the main villain. So the fact that it says character breakdowns implies we're really going to get an in-depth look at not just him. It seems to imply, maybe it's just me here, but it seems to imply that there's going to be other characters there and we're going to look at their backstory and history and origins. Very much tying into what Kensuke Tanabe said a few years ago about wanting to develop the relationship between Samus and Psylocke. It looks like they definitely have a history together, and I'm really excited after reading this because it's really showing that they're taking the story seriously and they're going to give us clues to his identity and build up to this, so that's really exciting. Help maintain narrative. That's just keeping the story details on track, nothing of interest there. Even though I just wrote down keywords here, you'll see it on screen. Fog and bloom. In relation to lighting effects and rendering. This is interesting. The last thing we heard about the environment was that trees. It was in one of the previous job listings, one of my earlier videos when I was first doing thumbnails actually. They were talking about trees and rendering for things like that. And now we know fog and bloom effects are going to be in it. So that's interesting. This implies we're going to be in a bleak setting. Maybe it's a misty forest full of fog, or maybe there are different areas of the game, but fog could mean either a type of area we've never seen before, or maybe something like Torvis Bog, where, you know, it was pretty foggy there, you know. I don't know. Bloom suggests flowers and stuff as well, so maybe we're going to see a Brinster type area. Who really knows? There's not enough to say on that, but that is really interesting, and it did catch my eye when I first saw it. Manage narrative documents. What this means is it's referring to the logbook. Narrative documents. The logbook is the document of the narrative, of the story. It's about the backstory elements, and managing that implies making sure all the details are on track, everything's correct and easy to understand. Then educate teams on storytelling practice. I assume that just refers to assisting the other developers in making sure the game is in line with how Metroid games tell their story. Metroid games have always been about the story is told through the environment. Even though this game is going to have a lot of cinematics and stuff, it's still going to be very much environment based. I'm getting the impression that the environment is playing a really big part in this game. Learning about the characters, their relationships with the world, with Samus, things like this. Moving on from that, the next job listing was the level 4 lighting artist. Again, I only wrote down a few details about this. It wasn't that important to go over, but create mood through lighting. What this essentially means is make sure the ambience, the atmosphere of the particular environment you're in is reflecting the mood that you should feel. If you're in a creepy setting, it should feel creepy and eerie and isolated. If you're in a jungle, you should feel like you're in a lush area with lots of plant life and things like this. So basically, it just means that the environment has to be getting across the feeling it's supposed to get. Take, for example, Phendrana Drifts in Metroid Prime 1, where you see that for the first time and you're kind of caught off guard and you're looking around in a maze, and the music is adding to that as well. That's another thing I'll be excited to hear about, is if music shows up in one of these job listings anytime soon, but that's a topic for another time. Establish strong color palettes. What this means, this goes in line with the lighting actually, I think. I don't really know anything about game development or any of these things, so I'm just guessing what a lot of these mean. Strong color palettes, it implies back with fog and bloom and lighting and the coloring of the environment is going to be very important. That could mean a ton of different things, like with color palettes. For example, let's say you're in a creepy hallway where Metroids have broken out and the power is out and you're on your own. The coloring would have to be sort of, dark and bleak so that you feel like everything's closing in around you. That's essentially what that's trying to get across, really. Other than that, maintain visual continuity. Again, about the environments, making sure everything lines up. The fact that it says visual continuity, maybe I'm looking too much into it, but it implies to me that there's going to be consistent look and tone throughout the game. I'm guessing maybe, going back to Metroid Prime 3, off the top of my head, visual continuity would be how each of the planets had phazon on them, for example. Or maybe it doesn't even mean that in this case. Maybe it just means that, each room in a particular area looks like it's from the same area. But yeah, other than that, I didn't write down any of the other ones there. Just the summary of requirements. I only wrote down 2 things here. The rest I don't really understand and I'm not really sure how to give my thoughts on them. Experience with Unity, Unreal and Frostbite engines. I don't really know what to say about this, because last time we heard it was implied that Metroid Prime 4 was being developed on the Cry engine. I don't know if it's being developed on Unity, Unreal or Frostbite, or maybe those engines have a hand in Cry engine. I know absolutely nothing about video game development or engine, so you would probably know a lot more than me, so feel free to let me know down in the comment section below what that implies, if anything. Industry standard rendering, that just means sort of professional work ethic, I guess, or standard for Metroid even. But yeah, that's there for the job list. I want to talk through what the implications of all of these are now that I've gotten these out the way, and I'm sure some of you are really excited after seeing this. And also I want to calm some of you, because I feel like the vast majority of you are probably freaking out over the fact that there's going to be cinematics and multiple characters and backstories and things like this. It's not going to be like Metroid Other M, where it's cinematics every few seconds. It's not going to be like that. And it's not going to be like Metroid Prime 3. Even though Metroid Prime 3 had a good atmosphere and establishment with lore and story and stuff, it didn't go well with the environment exploring, Metroid Prime 4 is the complete opposite of those 2 games. From what I can tell, bear in mind, this is just my opinion, but my interpretation of this is and maybe you'll have your own interpretations of this as well. It seems to me the lighting, and going back to even all the other job listings we've seen, even the stuff about environment artists and visual modelers, things like this, and terrain building. It seems to me the environment and the lighting and the feel and the mood of the environment is a huge central part of Metroid Prime 4. And as well, they're really trying to put effort into the cinematics, the scripting of the cinematics, and the character breakdowns, who the characters are, what they're doing, etc. So if all goes well, this could be the absolute perfect Metroid game. I freaked out when I saw this because, well, I freaked out the good way. I know a lot of you are freaking out the bad way probably because you want Metroid to be entirely about exploration, but guys, I don't know if you really understand how perfect this is. I've always felt Metroid Prime 4 needed to be more story driven, especially if you were having Psylocke and the Federation in it. Other people wanted it to go back to Metroid Prime 1 in terms of exploring the environments, and I kind of felt that as well. They're doing both. They're going back to that traditional environment exploration, but making the story central in that. The environment will connect to the story. There'll be a direct link. Each thing you scan will have a relation to the story. The different, plants and stuff in the environment will have some connection to what's going on. It's not going to be disjointed. Everything's going to have a purpose and will be interlinked. And it looks like they're really trying to get a balance here between story and gameplay, which is incredibly exciting because, as I said, if this is done right, I mean, this could very easily go wrong, but I don't think it will. If this goes right, this could be the perfect Metroid experience. We all know Retro are going to settle for no less than this, and Nintendo are definitely pushing them to make sure this game is as high quality as it can be. But I don't know what to tell you. This gets me really excited, and I hope it's getting you guys excited as well, because it means, as I said, everything is going to be interlinked. The environment is just as equally part of the story as the story is to the environment. And, character breakdowns gets me really excited because it means we're going to have multiple characters. I'm hoping, I was going to say that it could be other bounty hunters, but I'm also hoping Trace, Candon, Spire, Noxus and Weevil all come back as well. If they do, that would be wonderful, and maybe we get in-depth looks at all of them. It could tie into my theory a while back, what I said about Psylocke and the other hunters showing up to, and the connection between Gorea and the origin of Phazon, things like this. Or maybe they're doing a Metroid Prime 2 scenario again, with an alien race and the last surviving members. I theorized before that Metroid Prime 4 was going to be about the Yilla, the race that were mentioned in Prime 2 and Prime 3. Maybe that race is extinct and there's only a few of them left, and the few that are left, we're going to get an in-depth look at their background, their history, who they are, why they're doing whatever they're doing, I don't know, it's, obviously it's vague, but it's incredibly exciting. And as I said, you should all be very excited about this because this is shaping up. We're getting a clearer picture now of what Metroid Prime 4 is going to be like. And while I was worried for a while the story might not be that big of a part of it, it looks like they're really pressing ahead with the story. They want this to be a modern Metroid game, and they want this to be something that not only the general audience can delve into, but something Metroid fans will appreciate, especially in terms of gameplay and the ambience and the immersion. So you want to know what to expect from Metroid Prime 4? A lot of immersion, some fog and trees, and a lot of cinematics, the good kind. So there really isn't anything else to add to it than that. This is just all the good stuff, and I'm really, really excited about this. As I said, everything is coming together now in ways we couldn't have imagined before. And I feel like the next time we see a job listing from Retro, it could be pretty big. I don't think we're going to get any story details per se, but we could get vague hints, like, I don't know, just my theories on that. I don't have anything else to say because I'm just so excited at the thought of what this game is going to be like now. I never thought, and I'm sure many of you never thought either, we would be getting to this point where we could start to see the game coming on and slowly getting towards the point where we can all finally pick it up and play it. And it's just all incredibly exciting. But yeah, with that all said, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you think of this new job listing? Does it get you excited? How do you feel about cinematics and the fact that characters and story are a vital part of this game? Are you worried? Are you excited? And what do you feel? How do you feel about the fact that a lot of this is about the strengths in the environments and the gameplay and things like this? I want to know all your thoughts down in the comment section below. And if you know anything about the Unreal Engine and CryEngine, things like this, or any of the other categories I didn't mention that I was shown, please let me know down in the comment section below. Hopefully we don't have to wait another month or two to talk about Metroid Prime 4, but at this point, next time we do hear from it, it's probably going to be big, so I'm really excited about that. And who knows, maybe the next time we hear about it, is the person they'll actually hire from this, and then we'll get a clear idea of where things are going. But yeah, with that all said, thank you all for watching, and please subscribe. Novus Corvus out.